The dawn of waiting. In Vietnam, as the sun stretched its first light across the rice fields, Diep stood by the window of her modest home. The house, with its bamboo walls and wooden beams, was no grand mansion, but it was filled with the rhythms of life, the scent of earth after rain, and the soft laughter of a child. Smoke from the morning cooking fires curled into the sky, carrying with it the fragrance of rice husks and burning wood. From the edge of her village, she could see the wide fields glistening with dew. It was a picture of peace, yet inside her heart there was restlessness. Each sunrise carried the same reminder. The man she loved was far away. That man was James, a CEO battling storms in a foreign city of glass towers. While the villagers woke to the sound of roosters and the crackle of firewood, James awoke to ringing phones, stacks of contracts, and the constant tension of betrayal and ambition. Two worlds, divided by oceans, yet joined by a fragile, unbreakable bond. The rhythm of village life. Diep lived simply, yet not without burdens. She fed the chickens, tended the small vegetable garden, carried pork to the market, and sold goods to keep life moving forward. Beside her was Nay, a small girl who was not her own child, but who had become inseparable from her. Fate had placed this fragile soul in Diep's arms, and she embraced the role of caregiver with quiet devotion. Nay followed her everywhere, her laughter like bells in the morning. She asked questions with a child's endless curiosity and offered to help with chores, her small hands clumsy but eager. For Diep, the girl was a gift, an anchor in the lonely hours, a light in the long shadows of waiting. Yet every evening, when Nay had fallen asleep, silence would return. In those hours, Diep felt James's absence as if a part of her very soul was missing. In the city of towers, far away, in a city where neon lights drowned out the stars, James sat alone at his desk. Papers lay scattered around him, contracts, reports, legal battles. His shoulders carried the weight of enemies determined to see him fail. Investors doubted him, rivals plotted against him, and even friends turned traitors. But even as exhaustion pressed heavy on his body, his heart clung to a single vision: Diep waiting in the countryside of Vietnam. At night, when work finally ended, James closed his eyes and pictured her smile, the warmth of her voice, the gentleness of her hands, the peace of the quiet home they dreamed of sharing. In those moments, her image became his shield. When they managed to speak across time zones, her voice was steady though laced with longing. "I'm fine, James," she would whisper. "I'm cooking, working, taking care of Nay. But I miss you." And he, gripping the phone as if it could bridge the ocean, would answer, "Every day, I count the hours, Diep." I am fighting here so that one day soon, I can return to you. Faith in the silence. Nights in the countryside were hushed. Crickets sang in the fields, the wind whispered against bamboo walls, and the river flowed under the watch of 1,000 stars. Too Diep often sat awake, the firelight flickering across her face, whispering James's name into the stillness. She wondered if patience alone could carry their love across the storms of life. Could distance truly be conquered by faith? Each time doubt threatened her, she remembered his promises, his steady voice saying he would come back. She held those words close, like a lantern against the darkness. Meanwhile, in his faraway city, James marked each day on his calendar. He crossed out the dates one by one, each stroke of ink a vow, each line a reminder that no matter how many obstacles stood in his path, he would find the road home. Two hearts across oceans. One heart beat steadily in a small village in Vietnam. The other pulsed restlessly in a city of noise and betrayal. Yet both carried the same dream, that one day, the distance would vanish, and they would stand side by side beneath the same sky. For Too Diep, waiting was faith. For James, counting the days was a promise, whispers of doubt. But life rarely allows love an easy path. In the village, neighbors whispered. They questioned why Too Diep cared for a child not her own, why she waited for a man who might never return. Their words were sharp, like thorns pressing against her resolve. Yet she held her chin high, her strength rooted deep like a tree weathering a storm. For James, betrayal struck closer. A former partner named John was working against him, draining resources, spreading lies, and driving away investors. Worse, John's shadow reached Vietnam itself. He appeared in the village, smiling politely as he asked about Too Diep. His words wrapped in courtesy, but his eyes filled with secrets. James discovered the truth too late. John was the hand behind his troubles. Fear burned in his chest, for he realized danger was no longer distant. It was moving toward the woman he loved. The promise of return. That night, James made his choice. No more hesitation, no more counting days from afar. As dawn broke over the city skyline, he packed his bags with quiet determination. Each fold of clothing, each document left behind, was an act of surrender to love. As he zipped the final bag, he whispered her name like a prayer. Diep, I am coming back. And in the village, Too Diep stood by the river with Nay, watching the rising sun shimmer on the water. She did not yet know he had begun his journey home, but somehow, her heart felt lighter, as though the wind itself carried her a secret. The waiting would soon end. The hardest battles. Life had tested them both in different arenas. For James, the battlefield was the corporate world. contracts, betrayals, false friends, and enemies who struck in the dark. For Too Deep, the battlefield was quieter but no less fierce, the whispers of neighbors, the loneliness of waiting, the weight of unanswered questions. Yet both learned the same truth. The hardest battles are fought not in boardrooms or storms, but within the heart, where patience, faith, and love are stretched to their limits. A love that endures. From this story, we are reminded of something simple yet profound. True love is not measured by constant presence. It is measured by trust, the courage to hold on even when the world says to let go. For Too Deep, waiting was not weakness. It was strength. For James, returning was not escape. It was redemption. And so, across oceans and trials, two hearts beat as one, proving that when love is bound by faith, no distance, no betrayal, and no storm can truly tear it apart. Final reflection. In our fast-paced world, we often forget that waiting can be an act of love and patience a form of courage. The story of Too Deep and James reminds us that sometimes the greatest proof of devotion is not in being together every moment, but in believing, despite distance, despite doubt, that one day, love will bring you home.